Cherry. This episode is written by Regine Valenzuela, narrated by Regine Valenzuela and Ivan Acebuche. Episode cover art provided by BJ Misterio. When you're buying a second-hand car, what do you usually check first? Is it the registration date? Is it the mileage? Is it the engine? I know, excitement can get the better out of us sometimes. But why don't you slow down and check the car's history? You won't listen to me? Then learn from this story. Are you excited? My mom asked. I nodded my head enthusiastically. Yes, Mom, I can't believe I'm buying my own car with my money. She smiled and replied, We're so proud of you, Apple. The thing is, in our country, buying your car at the age of 22 is unusual. Not all 22 years old buy their car unless their parents can afford buying it for them. I'm just so lucky to have started my clothing online store at the age of 18, which prospered in the past 4 years. Because of my online store, I have traveled to many places with my family and elevated their status of living. I decided to buy a car for easier access and for delivery since Mom is starting her pastry shop too. I could never ask for more. Everything is just so great. The car I'm buying is just second-hand. I don't want to be stressed out in paying monthly for a brand new, so I decided to buy a car within my budget. My dad is fidgeting as we ride a jeepney. I can see that he is more excited than I am. I smiled as I looked at him. Dad, relax, we'll be there in 30 minutes. My dad is a taxi driver and spent half of his life driving to earn for a living and provide for us. And as a courtesy, I will let him teach me again how to drive, though I've already attended driving school and got my license last year. My father is a quiet man. He doesn't talk much. He might not have said it, but I sense that he's proud of me and that makes my heart do a flip. Finally, we arrived at the seller's house. The house is big and magnificent. My excitement is through the roof that I can feel my heart pounding every second we waited outside the gate. After 3 doorbell rings, a balding man in his 40s opens the gate. He's wearing a white t-shirt and is very sweaty. He smiles shyly as if sensing my thoughts.
Oh, I'm sorry. I look like shit. My wife and I are packing for a trip.
I smiled back. True, preparing for travel is really exhausting, I replied.
Yeah, especially when your wife brings a lot of stuff. I mean, clothes, shoes, makeup. I can't even name half of what she's packing.
Me and my father laughed.
Do you travel light?
He asked, addressing me. I do. No point in bringing unnecessary things. He laughed heartily.
Right? I'm Max Alejandro.
He offered his hand to my father first, which my father accepted.
And I'm Rob, and this is my daughter, Apple, and she's the buyer.
My father said proudly. Mr. Alejandro looked at me with wide eyes.
Really now? If I was your father, I'd be proud too.
I beamed, but it's nothing compared to how my father is beaming right now. We settled the payment and all the needed documents and brought home the car before sunset. Mr. Alejandro's given me some pointers on what to watch out for and what to do to maintain the car. It's a cherry red Honda Civic FD which I named Cherry. My father drove us home and we celebrated this new achievement by having a dinner at Jerry's Grill with Mom and Trina, my sister. So, is this your car? Nice! Mrs. Villar exclaimed as I delivered the cake she ordered for her grandson's birthday. Yes, I shyly answered. I'm still not used to all the attention. Oh no, don't be shy, you should be proud. Only a few can make what you just did. Your parents must be proud of you. Yes, they are, ma'am. After paying me for the cake, Mrs. Villar has given me a Tupperware full of food. I'm hesitant to accept it, but she insisted. Go on, don't let your mother wait for you in the car too long. Thanks for this, ma'am. I'll give this back tomorrow. Sure thing, honey. I headed back to the car and started the ignition. I turned on the AC and played an episode of Creepy Podcast on Spotify. The clock on the dashboard says 6 p.m. I looked at my phone and read a text from my mom saying that dinner is ready and I need to go home fast. I replied and nonchalantly adjusted the rearview mirror. I froze. A pair of eyes is looking back at me. My heart skipped a beat. I looked back at the back seat but sees no one. I let out a breath and calmed myself down. This is what I get listening to scary stories, but I listened to it anyway. Trina is waiting for me at the driveway when I arrived. Hey, are you so excited to see me that you waited out here? My sister is an outgoing girl who always giggles, but this time she's silent. She just looked at my car like she hadn't seen it before. I looked back at Sherry and see nothing, so I asked, "What are you looking at?" She just shook her head and said, "Nothing, I just thought I saw someone sitting at the back seat." Despite myself, I felt goosebumps all over my body when she said that. Now a little creeped out, I put my hands on her shoulders and guided her inside the house. I never said anything, and never even mentioned the eyes I saw on the rearview mirror. My dad is driving me today as we deliver boxes of cakes and bundles of clothes to our customers. The day is hot and despite the AC, the heat still crept through the tinted windows of the car. Dad, I had this weird dream last night. A woman woke me up and brought me to the garage. She's saying something but I can't hear anything. She kept on pointing to Cherry's trunk.
That certainly is weird. Do you know the woman?
I shook my head. No, but she had this recognizable birthmark on her chin. He just kept silent as he nodded his head. After a few minutes, my dad muttered,
Honey, I think you ought to have this car be washed and cleaned inside. It doesn't smell good in here.
I have noticed the smell too last night, but I didn't mind it. Maybe Mr. Alejandro left his used socks somewhere in here? I laughed, and so is my dad.
True, it does smell like a rat died in there. And we need to clean Cherry up and buy her air freshener.
AA, Captain, I replied, giving him a salute, forgetting about the woman with a birthmark on the chin. We finished all the tasks for the day before deciding to stop over a mall and buy an air freshener. After putting it, the smell inside is masked by the fragrant smell of lavenders. My dad mused.
It actually smells better now.
True. We thought that it'll get better, but the day after tomorrow, the smell got worse that we're forced to park Cherry outside the house. Everyone in my family is concerned and puzzled. We brought Cherry yesterday in a car wash and have them clean and vacuum her, so we didn't expect that it will be this worse. My dad suggested,
I think we should give Mr. Alejandro a visit.
We arrived at the big house not later than 3 p.m. We used Dad's taxi unit to get here to save time. By the looks of it, it seems like nobody's home. The house is eerily quiet and no sign of life can be seen. I kept on pressing the doorbell even though I know that it's futile. I just need a way to calm my nerves. "Hello, are you looking for someone?" An old lady asked us as she passed by walking her dog. I gave her an uncertain smile and replied, we're just looking for Mr. Alejandro. We have some questions about the car we bought from him." She gave us a look that made us feel uncomfortable. "Don't you know what happened?" My father and I looked at each other, then I shook my head. The old woman took a deep breath before saying, "Max killed his wife a few days ago. He's now in jail." Have you ever felt like a carpet being pulled out from your feet? That's how I felt upon hearing this. I felt Dad's hand on my shoulder. He's paper white just like me.
We didn't know about that. When did this happen?"
He replied, "About 5 days ago. That's the same time we bought the car from him. I can still remember how sweaty he was when he opened the gate." My dad asked again.
When was he incarcerated?
I'm glad that he's with me. I'm not sure that I can think of something to say in situations like this. Just yesterday. It's brutal. I mean, the murder. Poor Susan. I never thought Max will ever do this to her. Police said that her head's missing. I am floored hearing this and found myself asking, what does she look like? Long hair, brown skin, and had this recognizable birthmark on the chin. We're never close, but that's what I will always remember about her. Upon hearing this, I ran towards Dad's taxi and pulled him by his hand. "Dad, we need to go home now." The old lady looked at me puzzled. So I told her, "Thank you for the info, ma'am, but we need to go home now." She just nodded and walked away with her dog. My dad kept on asking me what's going on, but I just kept silent. He must have felt my anxiety that he drove like a maniac for the first time in his life. Just before the car ever stopped completely, I jumped out of it and wore a face mask. I clicked Cherry open using the key and opened up the trunk. The sweet smell of rotten flesh wafted out of it, which made me feel nauseous. I held my breath and one by one picked up all the things inside the trunk. My dad hopped out, muttering obscenities because of the smell. A crowd is now starting to form, including my mother and sister, as we tore out everything that's inside the trunk like two lunatics. We both stopped when the only remaining thing inside is a medium-sized cooler. Dad took it out and pried it open. It took some time to open for it was sealed properly. 2 more men helped him pry it open, and when they finally succeeded, they vomited, and I screamed. Inside that cooler is the rotting head of Mrs. Susan Alejandro. If you like this story, click the subscribe button. We'd love to hear from you, so if you have any feedback, questions, suggestions, you can send us a voice message through the link or message us on our Facebook page, River of Tales Podcast. Follow us also on our Instagram account and YouTube channel for other updates. Just search for Weaver of Tales Podcast, and don't forget to click like and subscribe. For story submissions, please email us at weaveroftalespodcast@gmail.com. Have a happy weekend.
Swear I won't forget this, why do I regret this? In my mind reckless, thoughts are feeling endless. Sitting up I'm breathless, anxiety's infectious. I feel so defenseless, betrayed and embarrassed. I hate being open, I hate being broken. I feel like an ocean filled up with emotion. Anger ain't a potion, rub it on like lotion. I can feel it soaking, reopen, the scars have awoken. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go. The pain makes it real. I don't wanna feel, I just wanna kill the bad thoughts and steal a good thought and feel. I'm just lost, I feel, I'm just lost, I feel. I need time to heal, I can't steer the wheel. Cause this drive it kills, and it gives me chills. A nice road it feels, I slip off the peel and crash all the steel. Will I ever heal? I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go.